In Chapter 18, a revelation with 0 strength and magic against enemies with 100 crit, we make our descent into Valla, which is filled to the brim with extremely strong promoted enemies. On the way down, Starla is killed by a guaranteed critical hit, which causes her to die. This is not good for her health, because not being dead is a prerequisite condition for being alive. But the greater damage is not to her aliveness, but rather to her reputation, because the comical circumstances of her demise via cutscene Among Us Gunter will be the only thing that anyone will ever remember about her. For this map, we need to activate 8 dragon veins that are all over the map in order to gain access to the boss's location. These areas are all defended by powerful enemies, not to mention massive waves of reinforcements spawning until turn 30. It's possible to disable the reinforcements by activating the dragon veins, but doing that quickly over multiple areas is not very viable for me. Thus, the only way for me to complete this map is to find a nice spot to hunker down and grind through nearly 60 promoted enemies. This can get quite dangerous, and I did end up needing to reset a few times as a result. The most significant of which was one where I forgot to move Felicia away after attacking, and she just kept dodging and killing snipers until one eventually brought her down. On my successful attempt, I start by teleporting all my units onto the bottom left island. After defeating the nearby foes, I immediately moved to block the bridge with Corrin and surround the dragon vein. This particular dragon vein only spawns snipers that can be easily surrounded for safe XP that can be allocated to weaker units. By stacking every single defensive mechanic possible under Corrin, he's able to survive pretty much any of the damage that the enemies can put out at this point in the game. The reinforcements then stack up to a fairly ridiculous degree, as defeating them is still a very slow and delicate process. I take several measures to avoid the possibility of mistakes happening. I use dance or shelter to get away after every attack, and upon defeating an enemy, I move Corrin forward to block and make sure that additional enemies cannot sneak in. By defeating these enemies, I make good progress on training units like Kaze, Camilla, Saizo, and Baruka, who really need to get their skills and supports online soon for upcoming chapters. Eventually, all of the aggressive enemies are gone, and I move to slowly bait and defeat the remaining stationary enemies. I then finish handling all of the dragon veins and send Corrin in alone to handle the boss room, which is full of physical enemies that are no match for Corrin's ridiculously high defense. Despite Corrin's 9 invulnerability on this map, his damage output is so bad that I have to wait for the boss Arete to exhaust all of her healing staff uses before I can score any kills. But the one thing I have on my side is time, since this map does not have a turn limit, and surely that would never be a thing I have to deal with.